Okay, so this is video number 15 in the Red Flags of a Narcissist series. Video 15 is red flag number 15, which is insults and put downs. If you've had a narcissist in your life, then you're probably here and you're probably researching all you can about it. I know that's what I did. I think that's probably what a lot of people do because you've probably experienced such crazy behavior that's so outside the realm of normal that you're trying to make sense of it. And that makes sense, right? So welcome. But the insults and put downs, this is one of those red flags. I think a lot of people, when they experience it, it takes a little while to sort out, well, what is, is there such a thing as a healthy relationship? And well, maybe some people, they're hurtful to their significant other, or maybe, maybe there's some truth in what they're saying. Maybe I really do need to lose some weight, or, and so it takes a little while for them to really figure out, is this them, being mean? Is this behavior that can change? Or is this behavior that's really abusive? I think, it gives me goosebumps thinking about this red flag. I have met and worked with a lot of people, even myself included, in a couple of relationships where I didn't identify what I was going through as abuse because I wasn't being hit. And abuse comes in so many different forms. In emotional abuse, psychological abuse, there's financial, there's sexual. I would even say that there's spiritual. But, these other forms of abuse are just as damaging as somebody, hitting or causing physical abuse. So emotional abuse is really real. If somebody is calling you names, if you're feeling ground down or shredded, then that's a sign that you're in an emotionally abusive relationship. And oftentimes this doesn't happen right away with narcissists. And it happens actually in two very distinct ways, which I'll cover here in a little bit. But there's 3 stages of a narcissistic relationship, okay? There's the idealize, there's the devalue, there's the discard. And the cycle goes round and round until the victim basically hops off and is done. So the devalue stage, and this is, okay, so it can be done to your face, right? And these are the people that feel like they've been shredded or ground down. They're getting these verbal insults. You're a stupid fat bitch, or you're a terrible mother, or I hate you. These kinds of things really, they wear a person out. Words have tremendous amount of power in how we see ourselves and in how we shape our world and what we think we're capable of. I really don't know if there's anything else out there that's more powerful than words. And so there's the more obvious ways of that devalue stage. I did not go through this with my 2 covert narcissists. And because I didn't go through this, for a long time, I really wondered if I had actually been in a relationship with a narcissist. Also, in addition, because my experiences were, they were covert. So they came across as very humble and charming. They weren't arrogant. They weren't outwardly grandiose. So I had a really hard time trying to figure out what kind of person I was dealing with. Were they a sociopath? Were they a psychopath? Were they a narcissist? Were they just a jerk? Am I making too much out of this? I don't know. So, you start thinking about all these things because your experience might not, and probably will not, match somebody else's exactly. And it might not match what's in the DSM or kind of what your therapist is describing as narcissistic abuse or a narcissistic relationship. So my experience with the insults and put downs, and I didn't realize this until probably about 6 weeks to 6 months after the relationship ended. This was still going on, but not to my face. So, and this is very common. So basically narcissists can either do the insult, the devaluing stage to your face, or they'll do it behind your back. I should say or they're doing it behind your back, because they probably are still doing it behind your back. It's how they're lining up their next source of supply. Especially if you're with a narcissist who has a pattern of cheating, this is how they're going about that. This is how they're effective. It's not that these other people are throwing themselves at them. It's not that your narcissist is so much of a sex pot that, us mere mortals can't resist them. What it is they're going around telling this, where is my list of red flags? This is one of the red flags that victim hero speak. And I forget which red flag it is, but it's one of the red flags, victim hero speak. So they're using this, right? And they're going around and they're telling these other, we'll just use the example of a man. So a man's married, he's cheating, he's a narcissist. He's going around to different women and telling them how you're some sort of crazy, bipolar, addict, alcoholic, neglectful parent, abusive parent, neglectful spouse, and that he's the victim of this. And he also might be the hero because, boy, he really wants to stay for you or for the kids. He really thought you would change, but you're just not changing. And so all these other people, because we all think that, we're dealing with normal, decent people, especially people that present really well. So they don't identify, their, spidey sense probably is not really going off, and they're taking him for face value and thinking, oh my God, here's this amazing, charming, handsome, seemingly altogether man. Again, this kind of goes back to public image. They probably have a lot of like status stuff. They have all these props around them to show the world, hey, I am, I'm stable, I'm solid, I am a good catch. But look at this person. She's a mess and she's dragging me down. So these other sources of supply, feed into this. And that's how he's able to line them up. And not only line them up, so it's part of it. It's the insults and a put down is basically, if it's not done to your face, it's a smear campaign is what he's doing against you. So a lot of victims find themselves, maybe going to work one day and they have a coworker or a total stranger who's giving them the stink eye, and it's like, wait a minute, what did I do? I have I am the victim here, right? This guy has been cheating on me. He drained my bank account. He, he's been beating the kids. He's been doing all these terrible things and I'm the bad guy. Like, what's going on? And it takes a while. And then you start realizing, something's going on. And for me, I didn't realize, until, let me back up. So these people that are giving you the stink eye and that they're harassing you and making your life a living hell, there's a term for these people and it's called a flying monkey. I think I did a video on this. If I haven't, I will. A flying monkey is basically, 9 out of 10 times they're a normal, decent person too, but they've bought into all of these lies from the narcissist. And they're buying into the fact that basically all of the behavior that he has done, he's projecting it onto you. And so he's saying that, you're a crazy, a lying, a cheating narcissist, basically. And they're like, oh my goodness, she's a cheating, lying, thieving narcissist, that bitch, right? And so then they, like the flying monkeys in the Wizard of Oz, they go on their attack and they're going to teach you that lesson. How dare you do this to this victim man over here? Little do they know that you're the victim and that he's the perpetrator of all of this. So, these insults and put downs, this is the start of the devaluing stage. It's hard to see it, like I said, in my situation with my two covert narcissists, I did not have this to my face at all. I had the exact opposite. I had two men that came across as Prince Charming. They were absolutely wonderful. They were so good to me. They were so thoughtful. They were so everything I needed in my life. And so when those relationships came to a screeching halt, one ended in a discard that was very sudden, very abrupt. I did not even see it coming. The other one, I happened to just stumble upon his second life, or his double life. And that was my first experience truly with like a narcissist and trying to figure out what I had experienced. I honestly think, and this is the first time I've even really spoken about this in public, and it's still kind of hard. I shudder at the thought of what that devalue in that discard stage would have ended up as. There's a big part of me that thinks, that really thinks that he had planned on killing me. So, yeah. So he, it's scary because you really don't know what these people are capable of. When we were together, we were living together, he was Prince Charming the whole time. And this is why I think he might have been up to something. He brought me coffee in bed every single morning. He did all the cooking. And the whole time we were together, I was sick. And I was absolutely exhausted the whole time. I couldn't get enough sleep, and I just didn't feel good. It wasn't until my mom, who lives in Colorado, had a rotator cuff surgery, and I had to go out and, I didn't have to. I went out to go help her recover from surgery. And I stayed out there for about a month. And during that month, within 24 hours, I felt fine. And when I went back home, I started getting sick again, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And at first I'm like, well, maybe it's depression. I just gone through a divorce. Like, maybe it's depression, maybe it's guilt, maybe it's overwhelm, maybe it's altitude sickness. We lived at this really, 9,000 feet. Maybe for a while I thought maybe we had a carbon monoxide leak. I couldn't figure it out, but I was the only one that was getting sick. And I kept thinking, well, Jack and the dogs are fine, so it must not be carbon monoxide. Like, I just don't know. And it wasn't until after I moved out, I was working at a domestic violence shelter, and I happened to be talking to one of the women there one night, and she was telling me her story, and we were just talking, and somehow it kind of came up, and it was weird. Just the timing of it was also just uncanny almost, because I never talked about me and never talked about what was going on with me. My time was for them. My position was for them, right? So I kept my own personal life out of it. And that night I just happened to open up, and I was kind of saying what was going on, and that the benefit was that I was finally feeling better. And she looked at me and she said, did it ever dawn on you that maybe he was poisoning you? Or drugging you? And when she said that, it was just like, I get goosebumps now. It's been 6 years. When she said that, it was like, holy shit. Everything made sense. Everything made sense. And then when I found out, that he was really just with me for money, and that he had a pattern of doing this. He'd done this to his ex-wife. He'd done this to his ex-girlfriend in Germany. He basically fled Germany to the United States because she was I'm guessing, was very vocal about what had happened, how he was trying to con her for money there. So the point of all that is, the devaluing stage takes different forms. The guy can be absolutely wonderful, but really don't wait for the name calling to start. If your spidey sense is going off, if there's things that are not adding up, if there's suspicious behavior, there's more stuff going on there, and to really pay attention to that, because never once in my life have I ever looked back and thought, I'm really glad I didn't pay attention to my gut instinct. Never, not once, right? That gut instinct that we have is always so right on. So pay attention to that. Be aware that there is that devalue stage. It is followed by a discard. That discard is generally, they either up and leave you, and I would be curious to know how many times the victim is just outright killed. Like with Scott Peterson, Lacey Peterson. So discards, I'd be curious to know the dynamic, the 6 months or so that before he actually murdered her, if there was a lot of name calling and put downs, or if everything was, if he was still Prince Charming and then just one day decided she needed to go because she didn't fit his purpose anymore, and then just killed her. So this is why I tell people, and I hear it all the time, like, well, but he's not abusive, so I'm going to just stay put with my narcissist. And, it's important the kids have two parents, or I just can't financially afford to leave right now, or he's not that bad. Maybe he doesn't yell at me. He's just really arrogant. He ups and leaves me every couple years for another woman, or he just drives us into bankruptcy every 7 years, or his alcoholism isn't that bad. There's always kind of like really bad behavior, but it's never, everybody has their own line in the sand of like what they will or won't tolerate. So, I tell people, narcissists, their personality disorder by definition is within that cluster of erratic behavior, which makes them highly unpredictable. They should all be considered dangerous. So that's that for red flag number 15. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, frustrations, ideas for videos, let me know. My contact info is down below, narcissistsupport.com, or my Facebook group, Narcissist Support. I will see you soon.